your boy Matt here, coming to you from the outside the Canberra City Library. This is sort of our town square here. At the moment we're in the middle of a festival called Floriade. It's our spring festival here in Canberra. It's not anything to really write home about, but it is nice because we get to see a couple of tulips. There's a great place outside of town called the Tulip Top Gardens. Highly recommend going there if you ever visit Canberra this time of year, because that place is truly something. I come from a regional centre called Toowoomba. We have this big flower festival called the Carnival of Flowers. To be honest, we do a better job of it. Canberra, they can sort of like skate by with a lot of stuff here. They can really half-ass it because whatever they do is the national thing. So we've got everything here from the National Public Toilet to the National fucking 7-Eleven, the National Museum, whatever it is. When it's here, it's the national one. And it adds a little bit of prestige to it, I guess. Now, speaking of that, and you know, just being able to skate by and getting by on prestige, we're going to talk again about vocational rehabilitation. So, around 6 months ago, in this square, I did one of my first videos for Taco addressing the issue with consulting firms, and that they're basically white-collar crime, corporate espionage agencies, right? I make a point to point out the KPMG building over there. They've ripped off the Department of Defense of millions and millions of dollars. We had issues with PricewaterhouseCoopers stealing our taxation information and then passing that on to corporate actors, so they were able to avoid tax. So they were both consulting with government and then training people on how to get around that same kind of problem. Now, these people are bad people, all right? And I know this because I used to be one of them. My first job as a psych was in vocational rehabilitation, and in that role, what I would do, and I fucking hated doing this, and I could not keep doing it because I had the awareness to understand what was going on, and a lot of the people who do this work don't really understand what they're fucking doing. Like, I have the misfortune of often being the smartest guy in the room, and that means I have to explain shit to people. It's not fun, but we have this issue where what we would do is that we did fake qualitative research studies. We befriend people on a workers' compensation scheme, we gather information about them, and we create a hit piece. There is no reality in workers' compensation. There is no reality. It's whatever fucking story you can sell the judge, not the judge. You can push through the system to kick someone off their payments. So one of the documents that we use to provide some officialness in this process is what's called a labour market analysis. And that's where I would pretend to be the person on the workers' compensation scheme. And this is something I was trained to do. It was something that I was doing in the office in front of everyone and being instructed to do. And it's ultimately what drove my fucking head in and why I basically performed so poorly in the role that they had to fire me, because I wasn't going to perform fake qualitative research. I came to psychology because I'm interested in it as a science, and producing fake data to me is the ultimate sin. Now, what would happen is that because the title at the bottom of the page was provisional psychologist, we were a fancy consulting firm, so we've got that little bit of prestige of being this white-collar agency. We then get pushed through and we're able to then kick these people off their payments. There is no reality in workers' compensation. There is no fucking reality. It's whatever your job is to provide a narrative which will make your client happy, and the client is the insurance company. And my experience with this, as what we've moved on to with Taco, what we're trying to communicate, is that we've ended up in a situation where we have a management class and we have serfs, and employees are increasingly being treated as serfs. And the objective of these consulting firms, or a behavior that they provide, is the ability for them to control and dominate their employees to maintain, so the management class can maintain power. And the most obvious example of this I had was when I interviewed at a second vote rehab company, right? Because it's taken me a while to truly understand how fucking broken and corrupt all this is. But for a while ago, I worked for a positive behavior support company called Butterfish Services. It was run by a criminal called Donald Macaskill. He had no fucking idea what he was doing. But because he was obnoxious enough and really violent enough, I guess, he was able to make a career in the human services industry by just bullying and dominating everyone around him. And when I was down there, I got a glimpse into it. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to work with him or not. I was a bit on the fence because there's plenty of eccentric people in the industry, and when I first got to know him, I wasn't sure if he was eccentric or a truly horrific individual. And it turns out it's the latter. He is heinous. I went for a job interview at a VOC rehab company where I'd previously done the first round interview, and now it was the second round interview. And while I was down in Newcastle getting the training from Donald, I made some excuses so I could go and do this job interview. Perfectly within my rights to do that. These people do not own me. They don't own anyone. But the management class think they do. Right? And I go there and I sit down with this other eccentric woman who then reports me to my boss saying, hey, your employee interviewed with us, right? Because this is the thing. These people see the world as these businessmen as their clients. These are the people they serve. They exist to maintain an order of things, and they get money for doing this. They are often these people who have a very strange view of the world. Like this woman, I remember, like she had this obvious, very strange disgust response. She was hyper orderly. When we talk about in psychology, there's a construct called conscientiousness in personality. And it's split into industriousness and orderliness. And she was the most orderly person I've ever talked to. Like, she was just strange. But either way, these people, they have created an entire industry serving around creating these narratives and solving problems for insurance companies and for corporations. When you are injured, and the system which is meant to help and protect you and get you back on your feet, you need to understand that that system is not there to help you. You have now entered a system where you are a commodity to these people. You are something which you are an expense to them, and they will do what they can do to fuck with you. Many of these people will actually try and hurt you, particularly if they are associated with the HR departments of one of these corporations, because to them, if they are responsible for your injury, they've done bad, and they don't want to feel bad, right? So you'll often see these things when there's an injured worker or a person who's just had a hellish experience, and the system which is meant to help them ends up destroying them, and their recovery is delayed because they are being destroyed. Sometimes in situations like myself, you actually gain capacity by fighting these people, right? It's a very strange thing, because the idea of VOC rehab is to try and get people back into work, because this is where it exists sort of in a very strange way, almost as a legitimate field in psychology, because work is very beneficial to keep people sane, keep people part of community, and all these things. Often what will happen, for example, in the National Disability Insurance Scheme, is that people who are on this scheme become experts at at advocating for themselves, and they end up actually gaining capacity by having to fight this system every fucking day to survive. And just that raw dogged need to fucking survive and get through these terrible experiences actually ends up creating the capacity in the people. But that's not what the system is designed for. When someone is hurt, the point of healthcare is to heal them. And you can't do that by abusing them, which is what these fuckers do. Right? Now, the other side of these people, because they are truly heinous individuals, and it's a heinous system, is that in my situation, not only did I have a consulting firm try and kick me off to prove that I wasn't sick or injured, what I certainly fucking was, they then came through the system and then they started doing fake job interviews to try and kick me out of the industry. So on the one hand, I'm not sick and can work. When I go to a fucking job interview and trying to get myself back into shape, trying to get myself back on my feet, even if I might not really at times have been ready to do that, they will then try and make it so I can't progress. So there's this never-ending thing where I can't win in any situation because there'll be a consulting firm hired by one of these fucking corporations who I've spoken out against, right, trying to ruin my life in some way or another, right? So they'll say, hey Matt, you've got capacity to work, how about you work? Okay, I do a job interview, turns out it's at a fake firm where they're trying to basically build a case to abuse me more, or I'll end up in a situation and then I can't get my fucking workers' comp regardless because they keep denying the crimes and the horrific things they did to me and put me through. Okay? And this entire system has developed because there are incentives at play, and the result of these management consultancy firms is that we now have a society where if you are a corporation, you can pay for a white-collar spy and engage in corporate espionage to ruin a whistleblower's life or play things out for your political advantage. We live in a fucking dystopia, and this has been a big thing that I've been trying to communicate using the message of Taco and my medium. It is horrific. And what we need to do is that we need to start unraveling this industry. We need to dismantle vocational rehabilitation. We need to rework our entire system for workers' compensation and the NDIS